Welcome in, everyone, to another episode of the SurgeCast. It is a solo pod for me tonight. Zach is off on vacation on a cruise. Kat is currently still on LTIR. Hopefully, we can get her on the pod soon. She is healing, she is doing better. So, we're very thankful for that. So, y'all just have me tonight, and we have a lot to talk about. We are going to go through the Canes injury report, which is a long list currently. As always, we'll touch on our likes and dislikes from the previous games. We'll bring back better, worse, or the same. And finally, we'll end with the game previews. So, starting off with the injury updates. A lot to go through here, as the Carolina Hurricanes are down 6 players from their opening night lineup. So let's go through the opening night lineup versus the lineup that was brought out versus Dallas, which after Shane Gostisbehere has been re-injured in the last game versus Vegas, it will probably look something similar to this lineup once the Canes go ahead and play the Islanders. So, opening night lineup, you had Ehlers, Aho, Jarvis, Svechnikov, Stankoven, Blake, Martinuk, Stahl, Carrier, Hall, KK, Robbie. Those were your forwards. Slavin Walker, Miller Chatfield, Nikishin Gostisbehere for your defense. And then in goal, Freddie Anderson with, well, really not Pyotr Kochetkov because he's been injured since the preseason. So Brandon Bussey. But even before the season started, you expected Pyotr Kochetkov to be your backup goaltender, really your 1B to Freddie's 1A. So that was opening night. Here is the lineups that were rolled out versus the Dallas Stars. Your forwards, Ehlers, Aho, Jarvis, Hall, Stankoven, Blake, Svechnikov, Stahl, Martinuk, Jankowski, Kokoniemi, Nadeau. Defense, Riley Walker, Chatfield, Nystrom, Nikishin Legault, goaltender, Brandon Bussey. Those are two very different lineups that I just listed off. So we do have some updates on when we may see some of those guys get back into the lineups. So from earlier today, we got an update on 3 guys. So for Piotr with his lower body injury, he's currently day to day. Per Rod, he probably won't play against the Islanders coming up on Thursday, the 30th. But Rod's saying he is right around the corner from a return, so that is great to hear. Meanwhile, for Ghost, it is a midsection injury, so different injury than what kept him out the past few games. But he is getting reevaluated today, and in very Rod Brind'Amour fashion, he said it's not day-to-day injury, and he's hopeful it's not a long-term one either. So what I hear from that, to speak Rod Brind'Amour, it's probably a week-to-week injury. Hopefully it is not too serious for Ghost. Meanwhile, Will Carrier was placed on IR. This is retroactive to 10/23, the Colorado game. So there's an update on your goaltender, one of your defensemen, one of your forwards. Meanwhile, an update from this past Monday and Tuesday. Keandre Miller, his return is right around the corner from his lower body injury. For Jacob Slavin, he's still a little ways away from his lower body injury. And then Eric Robinson joining Will Carrier. He was also placed on the IR retroactive as well to that Colorado game. So the Canes are down still 3 defensemen, 2 forwards, and a goaltender. And all things considered, we'll touch on it coming up here on the SurgeCast in our likes and dislikes segment. But the Canes have played awfully well for a team that is down that many guys. Everyone has stepped up pretty much. So to see the Canes play the way that they're playing now, as injured as they are, once this team is fully healthy again, we saw what they could look like on opening night versus the New Jersey Devils. I think this team is fine. They just need to get healthy first. So we'll go ahead and get into our recaps from the past few games, get into our likes and dislikes from the previous 3 games, starting off with the game versus the Colorado Avalanche. Starting with the biggest like of the entire week, those uniforms, Nordiques versus Whalers. Every second I watched that game, no matter how annoyed I was towards the end of the game, I still couldn't believe how sweet those sweaters looked on the ice. I hope the NHL does more of that. That was fantastic. I can't wait to hopefully be in the building for Whalers Nordiques here in Raleigh. Very excited about that one. Meanwhile, another you do like the penalty kill. Having to kill off 8 total penalties and being able to kill off 7 out of the 8 was quite amazing from the Canes. So we absolutely love to see that. And the next, we said it on the last episode, Seth Jarvis is a superstar. Come on, what can't Jarvie do? The shorthanded goal in the first, follow that up at the end of the game with the shootout winner. He went backhand on that goal in the first, on that, I believe, shorthanded as well. And then going into the shootout, that's kind of Jarvie's move to go fake forehand, go backhand. He switched it up on Minor there, excuse me, thinking he'd go backhand, but he did not. Seth Jarvis with the game-winning shootout goal. That was absolutely amazing. And there's no way that Seth Jarvis does not make this Canadian national team for the Olympics with the way he's playing. He's an absolute dog. He can do it all. Hopefully we see Jarvie in that Team Canada sweater come February for the Olympics. Moving on to the dislikes. Penalties, some questionable calls to be able to have to kill off 8 penalties. We'll get to it later, especially with what Rod Brind'Amour said after this last Vegas game. NHL officiating needs to clean it up. Another dislike I had, which has been a constant theme already for the Canes this season, it was a bit of a theme last season for the Carolina Hurricanes, not being able to keep these early game leads. When you're up 4-1 at the end of the first, you should be able to ride that momentum and continue to just dominate in the game. And again, the calls do not help at all. But that is a great starting point. You have those leads. I just want to see the Canes be able to win those games 8-2, something like that, where you just continue to ride that momentum throughout the game. But nonetheless, it's still a 5-4 win as you have 2 guys going down. You dislike seeing Robbie and Carrier go down. So every single guy stepped up. Freddie playing out of his mind with him saying in the post game, in the locker room, he asked Rod, day off tomorrow, with the way they played. So you have to like Freddie Anderson's 40-plus save performance. An unreal job by Freddie, really the entire team. One last dislike, though, Andrei Svechnikov, invisible in this game, in a game where you had to have everyone step up. I feel like he was the one person who did not really reach the call, perform the way that he should when you needed everyone to step up. But that is the 5-4 overtime win versus Colorado, moving on to the 3-2 loss versus the Dallas Stars. Logan Stankoven's first game back in Dallas. Kane's first game versus none other than Mikko Rantanen, who ended up with a few assists in the game. That hurts. But starting with the likes, Jackson Blake, his patience, creativity on his goal. That's, I think, when JB has a second, seeing the way he's able to handle the puck. Again, as always, I will be a top S tier supporter of Jackson Blake. Another Kane's other goal, Sebastian Aho shooting on the breakaway. We feel like Fishy does not do this enough when it comes to his breakaway attempts. You even see it on the power play as well. You just want Sebastian Aho to shoot the puck more. He has the ability to. I know he's trying to set guys up more, but he is talented enough to continue to just shoot the puck on his own. And we see what happens there on that goal by Sebastian Aho. Another I have, the way Joel Nyström played after getting to the arena within an hour, possibly minutes before puck drop for his NHL debut. he was really impressive with all those things considered, like the way he played. It's good to know that the Canes have that youth and that depth in the defensive pairings going ahead for the future. So really proud, excited to see kind of what he can do moving forward. Few dislikes. I dislike that call on Taylor Hall. That might be maybe an irrational take. Certainly one that not everyone will agree with, but I just feel like that is a hit that you see so often in the NHL, and that's a call that only the Carolina Hurricanes would be called for. If it was the other way around, a Canes player would be down on the ice. You saw Tom Wilson that same night had a huge hit that was not called. So I think you just want to be able to see more consistency from the NHL on what is called, what is not. You also dislike that because that penalty led to the Canes losing the power play that they were on. That was early on in the Canes power play. That led to a 4-on-4 situation where Dallas was able to get the game winning goal. And it's just in an unfortunate situation that the Canes are bit by another penalty. One last dislike of this game, too, just the early lead. I believe it was 2-0. Yes, 2-0 at the end of the first. Canes can't capitalize on it. I know that's the most dangerous lead in hockey. However, I said it with the Colorado game, too. If the Canes have a lead after the first, I want to be able to see this team extend that lead. I want to be able to see this team keep the lead when they are up early. The theme last year was the Canes went down early, but they were able to crawl their way back. I'd rather have that than the Canes having the early lead, but you almost know that they may end up giving it up at some point in the game. So that was the Dallas game, 3-2 loss. Moving on to the game last night, Vegas, a 6-3 loss versus the Vegas Golden Knights. First, I think that everyone liked. About time. Andrei Svechnikov getting the goal. You also like that it was on the power play. Two things that needed to get going. Andrei Svechnikov and the power play. Those were huge. Hopefully, this builds Svetch's momentum moving forward, and hopefully it gives the Canes, even though it was 2 seconds only on the power play, it will give the Canes some confidence moving forward that, hey, we can in fact score goals on the power play. Another Jordan Martinook's breakaway goal. He's had a few of these attempts this season. He was due, hadn't been able to get one. And what a great puck takeaway from arguably the hottest player in the NHL right now, Jack Eichel, to be able to have that takeaway on him, execute, be able to finish that goal. Great play by Jordan Martinook. As always, it seems that that Jordan line pulls this team when they need it the most. You also like Jackson Blake's assist to get Logan Stankoven going. The goal itself, patience by Stankoven was awesome as well. The whole play was great. I really like Jackson Blake being able to find Stankoven in that situation. I think that's all I have for the likes here. As we move to dislikes, seeing Fensore play over Mike Riley. I don't know if I agreed with that, but Rod Brind'Amour said he hoped to get Fensore some more power play time, and he didn't expect them to only have 2 seconds of the power play the entire time. Again, the 2 seconds was limited due to Svetch's goal, so maybe we could have seen him out there more. Instead, you're on the kill a little bit more than you'd like, and you don't have Mike Riley's defensive prowess out there being able to execute it. Also didn't like Fensore, him and Hall kind of near the blue line. Very sloppy play that led to Eichel's go-ahead goal. I think Fensore can play fine. It's tough getting called up in a situation like that, but not the best game for him. So I believe Charles Alexis Legault did get called back up to the Canes. I'd expect kind of a similar lineup defensively that we saw in the Dallas game with Charles Alexis Legault and Joel Nystrom pulling back into the lineup for that game. And if you watch any Carolina Hurricanes game this year, but especially the Colorado game and even more the Vegas game, the officiating, the refs. Ehlers probably slew-footed on that play where he got aggressive and ended up having the double penalties there on both sides. Svetch tripped, taken out, no call. But it's not just the fans. It's not just us watching. Rod Brind'Amour feels the same exact way. He is also getting upset with the NHL's officiating. And let's hear from Carolina Hurricanes head coach Rod Brind'Amour on what he thinks on the lack of calls the Carolina Hurricanes have gotten this season.
Yeah, the more disturbing thing is just the disparity now. And kind of, it's been pretty much all year. We're just constantly, in the box and not a lot of equal time. Usually even self out, but it hasn't. And then part of it is when the other team was putting it on you, maybe it should look that way. But when we do it that way, I very rarely see us getting 4 or 5 more power plays. So that's concerning because you're not going to be able to sustain it if you're in the box that much more than the other team. It's like, to your point, it just puts way too much stress on your group.
We agree, Rod. We agree. Rod Brind'Amour should be disgusted by the officiating. There is no reason that the Carolina Hurricanes should have 7 less power play attempts versus 3 of the top 5 teams in the Western Conference. And when you do the math on that, that pretty much equates to the Canes have had to kill. The Canes have had to kill almost an entire period's worth of penalties more than these 3 teams over the past 4 games. Vegas, Colorado, Dallas. That's not sustainable. So to see the Canes not get the calls, to see the Canes be that much further behind on penalties is so tough. It is so tough. And not just the penalties. When you're down as many defensemen as the Canes are currently, come on, NHL, like, give the Canes a chance. Give them some type of breathing room. For them to have to kill as many penalties as they do with the state of the roster, with the amount of injuries they have, is so difficult to do. So, Rod Brind'Amour, I do not blame you. Every fan, I think, is also upset with the officiating. We hope it turns around. We hope that we are able to see the Canes get the calls that they need to get. We'll throw it over to some ads real quick. We'll be back with better, worse, or the same. But first, the NBA season tips off, and so does DraftKings' newest fantasy game. DraftKings Pick 6 is the easiest way to play for big wins, with every possession giving you a shot at real money. Here's how to play. Just pick more or less on 2 or more stats and unlock the upside every game brings. Pick 6 is available in Texas, California, Missouri, and more. DraftKings customers get $50 in bonus picks with just a $5 entry on your first pick set. Don't just watch basketball, cash in. Download the DraftKings Pick 6 app now and use code THPN. That's code THPN. Play just $5. Get $50 in Pick 6 bonus picks. Make the call. Ride the upside in partnership with DraftKings Pick 6. The crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-78-97-777 or visit ccpg.org in Connecticut. Must be 18 plus. Age and eligibility restrictions vary by jurisdiction. Pick 6 not available everywhere, including New York and Ontario. Void where prohibited. 1 per new customer. Bonus awarded is non-withdrawable. Pick 6 bonus picks that expire in 14 days. Limited time offer. See terms at pick6.draftkings.com/promos. And we are back here on the SurgeCast with some better, worse, or the same. Starting off with Andrei Svechnikov. I feel like everyone is in agreement on this one. Compared to the start of the season, worse. I like the goal in the Vegas game. I like that he showed up a little bit more in the game versus Vegas. But outside of that, he's been invisible. 1 point in 9 games. I know we'll probably say it all season. Is once the playoffs come around, we'll really be able to judge him. But for this contract, I just need more out of Andrei Svechnikov, and that is not something that is currently happening. Because if you're able to unlock him, especially now with all the injuries, somehow on that stall line, that would be great. But you just see him not wanting to take penalties, not being as physical and aggressive as he once was, because he gets called for every penalty. But then when he's not performing, not showing up on the stat sheet, He just does not seem to even be skating. So hopefully Svech is able to turn it around. Hopefully that this goal in the Vegas game really puts some confidence into Andrei Svechnikov. Next, the Carolina Hurricanes power play. Better, worse, or the same? This is also worse. You went from being 25th at the end of the 24-25 season to being currently dead last, 32nd in the NHL at a 10% success rate on the power play. You lose Shane Gostisbehere again. That is not going to help your cause on the power play. I do not know what is happening. I thought going from the cash pop power play to the Powerball power play would fix this. It is not. So who knows what the Canes power play will look like? Maybe it'll just be bad all regular season and then it gets unlocked in the playoffs. Who knows? But moving from a worse, better, worse, or the same to a better with goaltending. I wanted to say same originally, but when Freddie is healthy and fresh, he is outstanding. And he has been outstanding with a blue line, a defensive core that is missing half of its starters. That is so impressive. So I feel better about it. Brandon Bussey, what an outstanding pickup. You're a little worried about losing Cade and Primo. You pick up Brandon Bussey instead. For all things considered, same thing with him in front of the defensive pairing and really that whole lineup. Down 5 starting skaters. He's looked good as well. So as a healthy, rested unit, this has been better than I thought that they would be this season. Once Piotr does come back, being right around the corner per Rod Brind'Amour, excuse me, that's Keandre Miller. Piotr, any day now, he could be back in that starter's crease. I wonder what he will look like in front of a depleted Canes team. Moving on to the penalty kill, better, worse, or the same. I'm going same. It's one of your top units, and you're down 2 guys who'd be out there on the kill. So the Canes have fallen to 11th in the penalty kill rankings as of this recording. But once healthy, once you have Keandre Miller and Jacob Slavin pull back into that penalty kill, I think it's one of the top units in the league. So I feel the same about the penalty kill as I did at the start of the season. For them to be able to do what they did with those guys out, having to kill so many penalties, you're bound to give up a couple of goals, having to be on the ice shorthanded that long. But I still have always felt that the penalty kill is without a doubt the Canes' single-handed best unit. Last one here for better, worse, or the same. We're going with Jesperi Kotkaniemi. I'm going better. I have wanted more from KK. I've been one of his bigger critics, I feel like. But with a over 45% face-off win percentage, he currently has as many points this season as Nick Ehlers. And when everyone was healthy on that line with Eric Robinson and Taylor Hall, that line was cooking. And I've really liked what I've seen from KK. The effort is always there. And really, the thing with KK is just that he's so unlucky with not getting the puck luck to have the goal going, to not be able to get an assist when he makes a great pass. Where if he was able to do that, his stat sheets historically throughout his career would look much better as well. So KK, it's been a great bright spot, all things considered, for this team. Need him to continue to stay healthy. For him to be your 4C is honestly a blessing. We'll see long term. The Canes do keep him around. He is that perfect Jordan Stahl 3C fill in once Stahl ends up leaving the Carolina Hurricanes. So that was a better, worse, or the same. Gonna go ahead and move on to our game previews and predictions. We have a couple of games to get to, starting off with the Carolina Hurricanes taking on number 1 overall pick Matthew Schaefer, who has been on a tear for the Islanders. He's looked really good, but overall, the Islanders still are currently at the bottom of the Metro with only 9 points, which puts them at the bottom of the Eastern Conference currently. Last season was a weird one when the Canes played the Islanders, as they went 2-2 versus the Islanders. The Canes lost both of the away games, won both of the home games. So we'll see what this looks like this year. Depleted Canes team, but an Islanders team that's just not that good. I have the Canes to win in regulation. I think this is one where, even though the Vegas way didn't go the game the way it should, the past 4 games have been so tough. Like, what an insane stretch of hockey that the Carolina Hurricanes had to play. So I am banking on them being able to come back, being able to recover, and get the win versus the Islanders. Then the Canes are on the road for 2 games, starting off with the Boston Bruins. This is a 1:00 start. Backtracking to the Islanders game, this is a 7:30 p.m. puck drop, so be aware of that, starting a half hour later than usual. And then Boston, you have a 1 p.m. puck drop on Saturday. Last season, the Canes were 2-1 versus the Boston Bruins. This included the massacre that happened on Halloween in an 8-2 win. Definitely have to keep an eye out, though, on David Pastrnak. Pasta is currently tied for 8th in the NHL in points, so you know he can always burn you. But honestly, though, I feel like Boston is so close to hitting that full rebuild button. The season continues to go the way that they do, whether it's at the deadline, in the offseason. Maybe they trade Pasta. Maybe they trade Swayman. I don't know. I could see that maybe being a possibility if Boston is just on this downward spiral that they seem to be in. I think this is also a win in regulation for the Canes. Swayman has not played up to that contract at all. And if you really only have to worry about Pasta, not too many other weapons on this Boston Bruins team that at least I'm worried about, I have another Canes win in regulation. Finally, for this preview, we have Tuesday night, 7 p.m. in the Mecca, the Madison Square Garden, versus the New York Rangers, who are 4-5-2 on the season, tied for 6th in the Metro, and are still, as of this recording, winless at the Garden. And we'll remind you that last season, the Carolina Hurricanes swept the New York Rangers. So we'll see what being around the corner means for Keandre Miller. If he does, in fact, return, this would be Key's first game back versus the Rangers in the Madison Square Garden. To me, this feels like a little bit of a trap game. I still think it's one that the Canes come away with a win in. I don't know what the Rangers schedule looks like before this, so there's still a chance that the Rangers could still be winless at home after this game. I do think it ends up being pushed into overtime, but I think the Canes get the overtime win. And they come back home to Raleigh with 6 points after this 3-game stretch. I'm feeling pretty good about the Canes, especially if they're able to get at least 1 or 2 guys back at some point too and keep them healthy. That would be fantastic. So that is all a very quick episode tonight with the Canes very injured. An easier stretch of the schedule coming up for the Canes, so should hopefully lead them to a few more wins. We'd love to see the power play get back on track. We would love to see the refs call an even game. Please, NHL, do that. Rod Brind'Amour already has the grays going. He doesn't need any more. No other Canes fans need any more gray hairs either. But we may return next week and be talking about some of the same things. Hopefully not. But that is all for this episode of the SurgeCast, and we will see y'all in the next episode.